To order. Good evening. This is the August 13th, 2024 regular meeting of the USD 305 Board of Education, Salina Public Schools. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no needed changes to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Dana moves. A second. Thank you, sir. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. On to item 4A, recognitions and presentations. Visible learning update with Matt Brungart and Tiffany Lowe from Salina Central High School.
Success. Good evening. I'm Matt Brungart, I'm the principal at Central High School, and this is Tiffany Lowe, the assistant principal. You didn't tell me how to advance it, though. Okay. All right. What I have up here for you is last year we set some visible learning goals with our staff and our building leadership team. And quite honestly, the first one we wanted to do as an administrative team when we did presentations, whether it be PD or white day presentations, which are just small group. We meet with a fourth of the faculty each time. We have a white day. We wanted to model having success criteria and learning intentions for the staff at each of those sessions. Our March 24th half-day in-service we dedicated to focusing on providing greater support of writing learning intentions and success criteria for the fourth quarter. We made that an emphasis. And as you'll see, those were goals that we had established with the teachers earlier in the year. All teachers were posting learning intentions at that time, and most teachers had success criteria. Students were, when asked, able to identify what the teachers were asking them to learn. We took some additional goals to meet that. We provided professional learning days. We took some additional steps to do that. At district and building level PD times, we used that to improve our teaching and learning, or our teaching, via the introduction of visible learning success criteria and initiatives. Intentions. Teachers worked on learning intentions during the staff development time to make sure they were tied to lesson standards. And then we provided one-on-one and small group coaching to teachers and departments that needed the additional supports. So one of the things we did is we were having some problems because our special ed teachers will push into our general ed classrooms and our general ed PLCs. They were not participating in the Visible Learning Initiative. They're doing things through the special ed co-op, and our counselors and support staff weren't there. So during our PD days, we designed pull-out sessions to give them supports so that they understood what was going on and what the core teachers were working on, and they understood the common language of the initiative. Just one more for me. So our learning walks indicated that most teachers were posting learning intentions as we gathered the data, and our learning walks indicated that some teachers were posting success criteria. Our learning walks also indicated that most students were able to identify the intentions. However, only some were actually able to tell us what they were learning at that point.
Okay, so he did 23-24. We're moving into 24-25. One of the things that we're going to do this year is we are going to have a similar learning walk instrument. Previously we called those walkthroughs, but now they're learning walks. So what the other things that we're going to look at is making sure that we focus on our staff to have a common language that might not always participate in all of our district PD. So I have the opportunity that I worked with our special ed department monthly, and we make sure that we give a visible learning update there to make sure they're on board as well. And then also our support staff I get to meet with on a regular basis, and we update them periodically as well so that they know how to support our teachers and our students. We're usually pretty good about clicking for each other.
Sorry.
We're losing our rhythm today, guys. So some goals for 24-25, that teachers will ensure students have access to their learning intentions and then also access to that success criteria. So then building on that is kind of pulling that student into their learning as well. So we would really like to see that our students can articulate what they're learning and why they're learning it. So kind of the compliance piece of, we've got the learning intention, success criteria, and then building that student piece in there as well. We really want students to be a part of their own learning process, and so that's something that we're really going to be looking for this year too. So a current state that we can talk to are our department chairs in the high school are very positive about our building goals, and we are blessed with really great, strong department chairs who are willing to coach others. Some are the impact coaches that you might have heard through visible learning conversations as well, and others just take on that mentoring role and really do help their groups move things along, and honestly, other departments move along. We need to make sure that we, as an administrative team, we're more consistent about performing our learning walks to make sure that we have a really good pulse on our staff and our students, our staff and where they're at, and then also our students' learning. And then just making sure that we, one of the things that we did last year, we have an extra S in visible, but one of the things that we did last year is we talked to focus groups at every grade level, and which is kind of how we gathered the feedback about how visible learning is going from our students' perspective and how their learning is going just at Slanish Central in general. And obviously our seniors, thank goodness, they graduated, and so then we have a great new crop of kiddos that are freshmen coming in, and so we'll have to grab another focus group so that we can continue to check in with our kids. Some of the things that we need to make sure that we're thinking through to meet our 24-25 goals, we broke this into 3 parts: teachers first, administrators, and then students. The first thing with teachers is making sure that we work through student engagement strategies. So some of our PD will specifically be to that, and then also teaching tools to utilize during lesson plans, and then just that backwards lesson design, starting with their assessment, and then that's our end goal. So how are we going to get to that end goal? Okay.
So some strategies we're going to use to increase our teachers' capacity. As I referenced, we have White Day PD sessions monthly, and so we will be continuing to touch on those. Those for the last 2 or 3 years that we've been doing have been primarily administrative-led. We are going to start to involve more department chairs and impact coaches in that, so it takes more of a coaching feel this year. We'll do the information out part, and they'll do the instruction part with the staff. We will continue to use our staff development days, the 2 half-days that we get at the end of the first and third quarter, to emphasize that. And then obviously we'll do pre-teaching and any coaching we need to do with our department chairs from that. And then we'll discuss our walkthrough data that we're gathering to see if we see any deficiency or anything like that. Because while I said we had learning intentions last year, part of the reason we had to stop and do the coaching was we were kind of at a compliance place, and they weren't really measuring, as we learned more as a district and as building leaders, we weren't really measuring up to the standards of what they want behind us. So we tried to work on that fourth quarter, and then obviously again this fall. So, for the leaders, we do, as Tiffany referenced, need to be more consistent in our walkthroughs. It just depending on your role and what you're doing, we had varying levels of consistency, and then we need to try and do some probably together to norm to make sure that we're seeing things the same. And then we need to support our department chairs, our Maroon Day PLCs. We developed a schedule to be present for them, and then we're using one of our coaches to be present and to provide consistency across all 4. And then following Monday, we'll discuss what's going on at the departments. This will help us keep a pulse on our staff for strengths and weaknesses, so that we can provide coaching or use our coaches to help out with that. And this will also help us facilitate our relationships with staffs around teaching and learning. Our leader capacity, we'll continue to attend our instructional leadership sessions that they designed to help us grow as leaders. We attend the Visible Learning Small Group and Impact Coaching Days, and then participate in the Visible Learning Foundation Days. So we all should help us grow as instructional leaders. Our long-term goals for our teachers, because this isn't a one-time thing, is we want to increase student engagement. And really see our students take more of an active role in their learning. We continually reference their learning intentions as success criteria. Ideally, we'll get to a point where we won't need study guides, because the students will be able to use their learning intentions and success criteria to prepare for exams and activities that they need to learn. Check for understanding, make sure we're training strategies, and then have openness to feedback from staff and students. Our long-term goals for our leaders: provide consistent, relevant feedback, be open to feedback from staff, continually monitor our student goals, and then provide time for the impact coaches to support the classrooms, and then we'll provide additional training supports as needed. And then the students, as I said, we want them to become actively engaged in their learning so that they can advocate for themselves and provide feedback to their peers and their teachers when asked. Okay. So in conclusion, visible learning is an instructional strategy we are using to address our Tier 1 instructional needs in the building, and we're planning to adapt and modify these initiatives as the needs of our staff and students change. So, okay. Do you have any questions for us? Yes.
I do some arts in the schools, and I know that Salina Arts and Humanities has artists that come to the schools, and I don't think any of them have any awareness of visible learning, except maybe me. Well, definitely me. And so I don't know that this is your task, but it seems like we should be in touch with Arts and Humanities to see if they can get some understanding of the visible learning ideas so that the artists get an idea of how to improve their presentations to match up with all these criteria.
So what our expectation for our teachers is if they have a guest presenter, a guest instructor, a guest lecturer, any kind of guest in the classroom, that the teacher will design based on what's being presented, the learning intentions and success criteria. We're not out there. Hopefully when they bring those people in, they're actually covering standards in the curriculum, and that way the teacher's job is to design which standards the presenter's covering.
Our English department, that's the department I get to support this year, or help support, they've actually thought about that already, because they had that conversation, because they love to have arts and humanities in their classrooms, and they have thought through that. So but that's good insight that maybe we need to do just some common language with anybody that comes in. So,
Okay.
thank you.
That is something that really probably we could do at the district level, to reach out and just to make sure they understand the language and why we're doing what we're doing and how it makes it easier for students to monitor their own progress in terms of where they are in relationship to mastery of the standards. So I hadn't thought about that, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. I hadn't thought about it either. Thank you.
So question, are we doing that with parents as well?
We talk about it with our site council. One of the things we'll do at some point this year is we'll actually redo this presentation for our site council.
I'm unmuted, okay. We did do, Jennifer worked on a mailing that we did for parents and some things to put into newsletters last year. We will continue to do that to educate parents, but buildings also need to educate parents about how this looks in their own building and what they can do to engage their student in conversations about what's happening at the classroom level. But that is something that we've done some broad brush strokes just as we moved into this to try to help families understand where we're going with trying to get more student ownership into their learning.
I appreciate all the things that you guys are doing to get the staff along. I guess a question is, are you seeing any impact with the students directly at this point? I know it's fairly early in the process, but are there examples or things that you're seeing that are maybe changing the climate, helping students at this point that are visible?
I just think they have a greater understanding what they're supposed to be learning, and so I think that kind of will help with engagement. We didn't grab baseline data, but as we've gone along, the students can tell you more about what the teacher's trying to do. You'll see students working more collaboratively together and trying to help each other partner up and learn more so than you did a couple of years ago. So I do think we're seeing some growth in those areas.
Matt, is there anything that you can speak to from the focus groups that you did with what the kids identified as areas of need? And maybe you don't have post data yet, but that pre-data piece?
It was pretty amazing when you looked at like what the seniors said and what the juniors and sophomores, they all could really go in and tell you the teachers that really had a difference and could do this well and what a difference and impact it made in their learning. And even though the kids at that point weren't using the right terminology, they really knew what was helpful And it was pretty interesting and eye-opening to do those. You had the most active group, so. Yeah.
I did. I think that probably one of the best examples is that our students are at a place that they're definitely post-COVID, and they're ready to own their own learning now. Google Classroom is great, but we had some specific examples where kids said, Google Classroom is great when your teacher is not there, and it's really great to keep up on things if I'm ill, but you're the expert. I want you teaching me so that then I can own my own learning. And we had some kids articulate that, and it gives me goosebumps to talk about, actually, because I think our staff and students are both at that place where they're ready to take that on, and I think that's really exciting because it makes the adventure together more seamless. And we had some kids that are like, I like the compliance. I like
Yeah.
I just want to get in here and sit down and get to work. And so I think that that variety of teaching is a positive thing, and our kids know kind of who's doing what, and they really do have a good pulse of what that looks like.
Else questions? Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you've had a great start to your year. On to item 5, approval of the consent agenda. Those items tonight include minutes of the July 9th, 2024 regular meeting, minutes of the July 10th, 2024 special meeting, the personnel report, financial reports, including the July bills list, June treasurer's report, and June investment report. Approval of the following encumbrance listings. First to Eagle for WMware software subscription licensing in the amount of $39,732. To Dell in the amount of $245,632.50 for the purchase of Chromebooks. To Loving Guidance, Inc. in the amount of $28,033.55 for the purchase of resource materials for conscious discipline training. And to Wichita State University for fall tuition payment for the teacher apprenticeship program in the amount of $20,000. Approval of the Lakewood Middle and South High concrete bids to James K. Coy Construction in the amount of $116,289.57. Approval of a gift acceptance for Central High Robotics in the amount of $10,000. And approve the addition of the K Club at South Middle School. Any comments, questions, motion to approve?
I move that we approve the encumbrance listings as presented.
Consent agenda as presented.
Consent agenda as presented.
Bonnie seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. We're at public forum, and we did not have anybody request to participate in that this evening. So we'll move on to item 7A, our action agenda board policy review with Aaron Wright.
Good evening.
Hello.
At the last board meeting in July, we had a work session on a number of policies, and tonight would be the second reading of those. I do want to draw your attention to one policy in particular, which is policy JH. After that work session, we received some comments related to clarity around that policy, so we have made some additional changes. You should have a copy of that there at your station. The blue, so the red highlight, it's all highlighted in yellow. The red text was what we had changed for last time. The blue text is what we have modified to sort of clarify that this portion that's titled Participation in Kansas State High School Activities Association activities really speaks to those students who attend a virtual school or a non-public elementary or secondary school. The substance of that has not changed. We simply moved sort of the defining characteristics up into that top paragraph there to make it clear that there's a distinction in who that section is applying to. Other than that, the packet of policies would appear the same as the last time you met, and I'm happy to take any questions on any of those if you have any.
Questions, comments from the group?
Mr. President, I move we approve the policy revisions as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Jim seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. And on to item 8A on our discussion agenda, school transportation crisis plan with Paul Minching.
Good evening, everyone. So the state legislature passed a law requiring each school district to have a transportation crisis plan approved by the respective school board of education. So Kansas Department of Education provided a template which we used to develop the plan presented in your packet. The plan was developed in collaboration with Durham, our student transportation partner. The plan includes the legal responsibilities of the district and outlines procedures for foreseeable emergencies, student behaviors, and safety. We did make one change, or a few changes to the plan that's presented in your packet. So you have at your seat something that looks like this, that includes the changes that are on pages 76 and 77. Most of those changes are grammatical, spelling type of changes. I did want to point out that on the last page, probably the most significant change is in reference to the parent not home for kindergarten age students. That change clarifies that the adult present to pick up the child will be a parent, guardian, or the parent's designee. So that is the handbook. Any questions?
I just want to say I was impressed by all the many disasters that could happen on a bus and how they're all thought through well in this description.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
this is on our discussion agenda. I'd maybe make a motion that we move it to action agenda and approve it this evening. Yes, it is.
Is there a second? Bonnie seconds. Any further questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. And the KASB conference, November 15th through 17th in Wichita. Start down there with you, sir, for board reports. Nothing. Okay.
I attended the school board retreat, and I attended the back-to-school fair at a table for the League of Women Voters, but I noticed it was a very steady stream of kids and parents. It was really busy, so it seemed quite worthwhile. That's all.
Good evening. I attended another Smoky Hill, actually the retreat as well, on the 10th, and then the Smoky Hill Educational Service Center Executive Board meeting. Still getting through some of the issues with Lawrence Gardner teaching and administrators there, so they've gotten those positions filled, but we're just now getting into the first time of these people being in the first bits of their roles there. So enjoying that, and also we've got some local staff at the Smoky Hill Educational Service Center that's new on board and replacing some of the older staff that has retired since, and so it's been interesting going over there and enjoying the time with them, trying to get everybody up to speed. There was also on the 17th, I attended the Salina Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. General topic of that one was the Barkley Park condition and the ways forward on trying to see what we can do to improve our park conditions for that. Also, on the 5th, attended the USD 305 staff and faculty back-to-school meeting at the Central Auditorium for this year's startup. And that was a fun event to be able to go over there and have all the faculty and staff be in one place, getting charged up. So that's it for me.
I attended the retreat and the Welcome Back to School event.
I attended the staff meeting, the board retreat, and then I'm on a new board, the Heartland Early Education Policy Council. So Lisa Larson contacted me, and I went on a tour of the Heartland School, and saw the new kitchen. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna really enjoy being on that board. Not that I wasn't enjoying the rest of the boards, but it's okay.
Attended the board retreat, and things came to a screeching halt last month, so catching my breath.
Good. I don't think I have anything official to report. We'll move on to item 10, superintendent's report.
Just a couple things to update you on. With the beginning of the year, we have all been busy visiting the K-12 attendance centers. And I've been in all the attendance centers at least twice over the last couple days. And so that's been fun. And I actually have seen some of our learning intentions and success criteria in action. And in fact, I caught one teacher. I walked in and she was in the middle of talking to the students, and she had just asked, "Is this helpful for you? Raise your hand if this is going to be helpful for you to understand my expectations and whether or not you're successful." And it clearly was not because I walked in, because it was like mid-sentence. And 100% of the students raised their hands. It was a high school physics class. And so I just thought that that was interesting, that the students really wanted to know what exactly is expected, and they felt that was helpful. So I'm catching things like that. It's been a real positive start. Seeing lots of learning disposition conversations about what does it mean to be a good learner, how do you know that you're a good learner, and lots of the learning intentions and success criteria just district-wide at all grade levels, done in very different ways. Some posted, some talked about, some on little pieces of paper, but each teacher's kind of making it their own, which is nice. That's what we want. Erin Wright, Jody Craddock-Island, and I attended Title IX training to make sure that we're complying with the legal expectations for Title IX. And it was good to review our procedures and how we're handling those serious situations and making sure that we're meeting the expectations and doing what's right for our students and staff and families, certainly. And then today, Jennifer Camion and I met with the group that does our community survey. As you know, we do that statistically valid community survey each year to try to get the pulse of, are we meeting our community's expectations in terms of what we're providing for their students, in terms of communication, and we worked a little bit on the survey design, and our plans right now would be that would be done right after Labor Day, mid-September, for us to just kind of do that pulse check and make sure that that what we're delivering is meeting the needs of Salina citizens and families. So.
Thank you for that. We do have an executive session on our agenda for personnel. How many minutes do we want there? 10?
I think you better do 15.
That's not a good sign if she's saying more than me.
Mr. President,
I said, I don't think you've ever said more than me, so I'm very worried. Go ahead, sir.
I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 6 o'clock for 15 minutes for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel and their contractual obligations, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at 6:15 in the SEC room.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second from Dana and Ian. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. We're in recess until 6 o'clock for our executive session. We do anticipate action after that. Executive session will come back into this room for that action. We are back in open session. After that executive session, there is a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Victoria Kelly, Robert Black, and Pam Chapin for the 24-25 school year, and that pursuant to the negotiated agreement, they be assessed a $5,000 in liquidated damages for the failure to complete their contractual obligations to the district.
Thank you. Is there a second? Ian seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. We're going to move into a work session now for budget review for the 2024-2025 budget year. We do anticipate action after that work session, and we'll come back to the live stream for that action, but the live stream will be paused during the work session. Thank you. We have concluded our work session and are back at the table for the action agenda 3. Is there a motion? Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the publication of the notice of hearing for the 2024-2025 budget.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Bonnie seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. And a second motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the publication of the notice of hearing for exceeding the revenue neutral rate for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you. Is there a second? Deanna seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. That is the end of our agenda tonight. Thank you for those online who were joining us and those in the room for sticking around. Thank you. There's a motion to adjourn. A second? Deanna seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.